Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Mike X. Welcome to another clip from my YouTube channel, Brother Mike X Speaks. Tonight I want to talk to you about, which way forward, for us, for black people. And when you ask that question, depending upon who you ask, you would hear a whole lot of, different answers, we are very divided, in a lot of ways, and it stops us from moving forward because, we have been hard pressed to focus on what we have in common, instead of focusing on, differing points of view along spiritual lines, religious lines, along, lines of, do we need a political philosophy? Should we focus on that first? Or should we focus on, economics, and entrepreneurialism and business? Or should we focus on, different situations or problems that beset us, like the rise of gentrification, the takeover, particularly by white folk, of historic black communities, or police brutality, or the prison industrial complex, or, there's a number of things that, certain segments, say that we got to focus on this first, or we got to focus on that first. Some of us, we divide ourselves from the mass, because over names, we're not black people, we're Africans, what I mean, in America, or, we're Moors, or, we're different things. And I feel like we have to begin to find ways to stop splitting ourselves from each other and fighting each other, from dogmatic points of view, based upon differing philosophies and ideologies, and begin to work towards building unity based upon those common interests. Wherever we exist in the United States, we are already united. You know what I mean? We're already united. How are we united, Brother Mike, when you just said we're so divided? We're united because whatever city, whatever state we are in, it's the same conditions and the same conditioning that we find. We find a growing political, arbitrary, spirit, where the politicians, even when they're black, are not serving our interests. Whatever city, whatever state that we're in, many times, the economics are controlled 99.9% by outsiders. We tend to be, caught up on those lower levels of consciousness and, caught in a mindset and a practice of apathy and mediocrity, where we're not moving towards coming together so that we can take power, and this is what opens us up in any city that you go to, where we are in significant numbers, where you see a rising tide of black on black crime and police brutality and gentrification, like I said, and all of those things. So we are already united along those lines because of those conditions and that conditioning. And what that means is, if we come up with a strategy that will help individuals get into the driver's seat in their own lives and begin to build a consensus among significant numbers of the people, of our people in these neighborhoods, all we have to do is set a positive tone, a positive momentum, light up, Black America in one of these cities, Just get it right. Start the, process. Build a momentum where we can see a gathering together that's not reactionary, that's not based upon the police brutality, that's not based upon the gentrification, that's not based upon anything that's being done from the outside, but that's based upon a proactive strategy, that we have brought forth, through strategizing, through committing ourselves to, get together, so that we can do what we need to do for ourselves. A month before he was assassinated, Brother Malcolm X was being interviewed by a lady from the Village Voice, a New York newspaper. And he said one of the most important things that we can use to guide ourselves today on how to move forward. He said, our biggest mistake in the past has been to strive to organize a sleeping people around specific goals. He said, first you have to wake them up and then you'll get some action. The interviewer asked him, wake them up to what? To their oppression? He said, no, to their own human dignity, to their own self-worth. So family, that gives us a guideline. He didn't say strive to wake them up to their oppression. They already know. We already know that we've been oppressed. We already know that we've been knocked down and exploited and taken advantage of. We don't need to continue to talk about that and commiserate over that. We already know this. What we don't know, too many of us, is that there is an alternative. There's an alternative to the way we're living our lives. That we don't have to live down to the stereotypes. We don't have to accept these stereotypes and these barriers, and these mental chains and shackles. We can begin to come together on a higher level, on a higher conscious level, on a higher awareness, where we and use that consciousness and use that awareness to make better decisions in our own lives as individuals and to come together, not to fight, not to go to war, but to unite, to strategize, to decide, to debate, to decide and come up with a practical plan that we can throw our energy into, to make us stronger together than we are separately. So family, you what? It's not about it's not about reparations, and people are gonna get mad at me for saying this. It's not about police brutality. It's not about gentrification. It's about resurrecting a people, resurrecting a people so that we can begin to, again, look at ourselves the same way that other peoples on this planet look at themselves, with a high level of self-respect, of self-love and dignity and pride, so that we can be awakened to the knowledge that, we don't have to continue to put up with what's happening in our lives and in our neighborhoods. This is where we have to start. Okay. Do we deserve reparations? Oh, most definitely. Nobody has been abused and knocked down, and done more, to bring this nation that we're living in into being than the black man and black woman. And that's without a doubt. Nobody still at this juncture is more instrumental, in keeping the economy and allowing other different races and ethnicities to thrive and flourish than us, because we are the #1 consumers on this planet. And just about everybody and their mother is connected, in some way to deriving their power and their sustenance from our lowly condition. Because we're not doing what we need to do for ourselves. Everybody else has found a way to benefit politically, economically, and socially over our low state of being. Um, our solution will come from our unity and organization and empowerment on local grassroots levels. You know what I mean? That's where our power is going to come from. That's where our solution is going to come from. If we are ever to successfully wage a fight to be able to end police brutality, to be able to empower ourselves, to stop, the white takeover, gentrification of our, traditionally black neighborhoods. If we are ever to stem the tide of our brothers, and sisters being locked up, in the prison industrial complex, it's going to come from us finding a way to begin to unify in these neighborhoods, bringing significant numbers together. This is where political power derives from numbers, who understand the importance of coming together to be able to take care of common interests. This is where our economic power will come from. It's going to come from our social, might, our ability to come together on that level, to build the bonds in these neighborhoods to where we stop fighting each other and start fighting for each other. Each one teach one, reach one. One for all for one. This is where the change will come, if it's going to come at all. You see, the fight for reparations that is not backed by our unity and organization in these neighborhoods is going to depend upon outside forces to recognize us, to recognize our deservedness to receive reparations. Without our unity and organization in these neighborhoods, the gentrification, the fight against the white takeover gentrification is not going to have any backing. Anything that we feel the need to begin to, that we need to eliminate without the backing of unified and organized numbers in these neighborhoods, it's going to fall flat. You know what I mean? So we definitely have to start with awakening the masses. And how do you awaken the masses, Brother Mike? This is what's needed. Stop depending upon iconic, charismatic, civil rights styled leadership. Stop depending upon one all-knowing, brother or sister, to stand out front while you do nothing, while you take no part in your own, empowerment, with your own education and consciousness raising. We need every brother and sister to begin to strike those mental shackles off your hearts and off your minds and off your spirits. Get into the fight, do the knowledge, and, break free of customs and habits and behaviors that don't serve you and don't serve us. You know what I mean? And don't help us to be able to become empowered so that we can do something better than what we're doing. Yo, turn the TV off, fam. They're trying to dumb you down, man. You know what I mean? They're trying to titillate you and entertain you and keep you from focusing on things that you need to be able to attend to if your life is going to be, sustained into the future. If we don't begin to understand politics, if we don't begin to understand economics, if we don't begin to understand, how to participate in a process in these neighborhoods that will allow us to begin to generate power amongst us so that we can hold ourselves accountable, the people in our neighborhoods. And if we can hold the people in our neighborhoods accountable, then we can begin to start wielding some power, some influence, within the structures that shape our neighborhoods, the politics, the economics, the education, the media, and other things. So I say, family, start with you. Get your life together. Get your consciousness, your awareness together. And then seek to join on with like-minded, like-spirited individuals who want to work with you. So I gotta go. I'm running out of time. Peace and blessings. Get at me.